We are back, everyone. I hope you are having a good day. I hope everything in your world is ever so nice. And even if it isn't, we are here to cheer you up. It is English Addict once again, coming to you live from the birthplace of the English Addict language, which just happens to be England. You see, Mr. Steve, I told you, look at all this stuff on the internet. Look, isn't that disgusting? What are they doing there? I don't even know which way up that should be. See, I told you. Are you shocked?
Mr. Duncan, this isn't a very good start to the new year.
It isn't. So I told you, didn't I? You spend 20 minutes on Instagram looking at things, and then all of this comes up. And I know.
Is that possible?
I'm not
physically.
Sure. I'm not sure if that's possible.
I'm not sure that the human body can actually get into that position, Mr. Duncan.
I don't think so either.
I think this is... anyway, Mr. Duncan, we're being watched.
Oh,
hello.
Hello. Hi, everybody. This is Mr. Duncan.
And Mr. Steve.
In England. How are you today? Are you... Wow.
Mr. Duncan, don't get distracted.
Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? I hope you are happy today. We are here once again. English Addict is the place for you to come to if you want to improve your English listening. Maybe you want to learn some new words. Maybe you want to admire the beauty of us, because we are the handsomest English teachers on the internet.
Mr. Duncan, that is open to debate, and I would think that people might show us pictures of other sort of more handsome, beautiful people teaching English on the internet.
I thought you
might be embarrassed.
I thought you were going to say that's open to derision.
Well, that as well. Anyway, hello everyone. Hope you're okay. Welcome from me as well. Bella made a comment about your music, saying that it sounded very Brazilian.
It is. I think it's a samba.
Yes.
I think it's a bit of a samba.
It's definitely sort of Latin American sort of music.
I'm not sure if it's samba or salsa, because one of those things has a different beat. But I love that piece of music. Whenever I hear that piece of music, and Steve, of course, will verify the fact that quite often when I'm doing things around the house, chores and things like that, I'm often singing that piece of music. And it's not a lie. I'm normally washing the dishes or cleaning Mr. Steve's underpants, and there I am going da 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 da. I can't get this stain out. Da 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 da. What is Mr. Steve doing with his underwear? Da 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 da.
Well, you all know that's complete fantasy, because you all know that it's me that does all the housework.
It's not true. I do some of the chores. I will prove it this week. You see, if you mess with me, I will bite back.
Well,
this week I'm going to film myself doing the chores, and to prove that I do the chores. I do some of them, not all of them. Sometimes Mr. Steve does them, but quite often there are those little jobs that have to be done. I suppose one of them is putting the dirty dishes in the dishwasher.
Oh.
Normally, it's me that does that.
Oh, yeah, that's such hard work, Mr. Duncan.
It is hard work.
Putting plates and cutlery into a dishwasher.
Yes. Well, you know what some people do, and I think we do this sometimes. We will put the dishes in the dishwasher, then the dishes will be washed, but then we keep them inside the dishwasher and we don't take them out. So whenever we need a plate or a knife or a fork, we'll just go to the dishwasher and open it and just take a clean one out.
The dishwasher is a storage cupboard, really.
Yes, it is. I suppose unofficially it is a place where you store your plates, dishes and knives and forks. I think so.
That dishwasher of ours that we inherited when we moved here by the way, because it was here when we moved in, is probably about 35 years old, I would say,
It
maybe
is.
40 years old. It's a good German make, so clearly, if you buy something that's high quality, it lasts a long time.
It is some good German.
Touch wood, 'cause
German.
I don't want to have to buy a new one.
It is some good German engineering.
Talking of tidying up, Mr. Duncan,
Yeah.
this is often something that people do in the new year, isn't it? They think new year, they want to have a spring clean.
Yes.
A spring clean, although it's not spring. It just means that you feel like there's a new year, you want to tidy up. And that's exactly what you've been doing, isn't it, Mr. Duncan?
Isn't
You've been,
Yes.
yesterday, you had a big tidy out of your studio here.
It looks cleaner. I've moved all of the rubbish. What you don't see underneath this desk that's in front of us, underneath, normally over the year, there is a pile of rubbish that slowly builds up as I'm eating things. By the way, I've discovered my most favourite food at the moment. I'm going through a phase.
You mean something that's even greater than Jaffa cakes?
Better than Jaffa cakes.
Surely not, Mr. Duncan.
Pancakes. Lovely pancakes with tons and tons of syrup all over them.
Notice it's still got cake in the word
Yes.
for the name of the favourite product.
So these little pancakes, I put them in the toaster and they get nice and hot, and then I put some butter on them, and then I put lots and lots of golden syrup all over.
Sashes. Sorry.
Sorry, can I just finish my sentence? I put loads and loads of golden syrup all over them.
Sash is here.
Hello.
The one of the most challenging two words to say next to each other.
Yeah.
Sash. It's quite difficult to say that.
Talking of the live chat, wait there, Steve. We haven't even said hello to the live chat yet.
I have.
No, because we have the first person on here today. Who was first? Well, guess what? It was Claudia. I do know that Claudia is busy today. She's busy. I think she's working very hard. I had a note from my dentist this morning telling me to go in for a complete checkup. I think maybe they are short of money, I'm not sure, but they desperately want me to go in so they can have a look in my mouth for things.
Well, you've only just been in before Christmas. Talking of people on the live stream, Reham Abdelkader, I think, says that they are from Egypt, and it's not a name I recognise. So are you new to
Reham. Hello, Reham.
To this channel? Welcome if you are.
Yes, welcome. And it's nice to see you here. Wherever you are in the world, you are very welcome to join us right here on YouTube, Sunday and Wednesday, 2 p.m. UK time. By the way, I suppose also I should say to those who I haven't said it to, can I wish you all a Happy New Year, just in case you were not here on Sunday. Happy New Year to you. It's a Happy New Year. I hope you are having a good one wherever you are.
Yeah, so are you having a New Year clean-up around your house? Have you identified things that you want to do to improve the look of your house?
Yes.
I always have a tidy-up between... normally before Christmas, I like the house to be very tidy, spick and span, as we say, spick and span. There's a good word. There's a new word. We've taught something already, Mr. Duncan. If something is spick and span, it just means it's very clean and presentable. So you can say Mr. Duncan has made his studio look spick and span. It's clean, it's tidy, well, relatively.
It's not completely clean and tidy, but it's better than it was before.
Better than it was. Udom's here as well from Thailand. We've got
Yes.
lots of people here.
Well, Udom, of course, is one of our regular messages. One of our regular messages on my comments section. The old man in Thailand. Never say that, by the way. No one is old. It is just a number. I remember a couple of weeks ago I was reading a very interesting article about a very famous film star called Clint Eastwood. He, at the moment, well, he's recently celebrated his 92nd birthday. And if you have watched this before, you will know that I like Clint Eastwood very much. I like his films, some interesting films. He's never appeared in a bad film. He's one of the few actors who has never made a terrible movie. Clint Eastwood, apparently his secret of staying fit and young, he said he never lets the old man in. And I think that's brilliant. What a great piece of advice. He said the reason why he does that is so he can keep making plans, keep doing things. He has new projects, new films to make. And that's the way to do it. You keep the old person out.
It's a good phrase, that. A very good phrase. Of course, when he looks in the mirror, it's going to remind him. Maybe he doesn't have any mirrors in the house.
Yes.
That's a good idea. When I get to a certain age and my looks start to fade, it's decades away, obviously, then I think I will get rid of all mirrors in the house. There will be no mirrors. Well, they will break anyway, won't they, if I look into them? Because that's always a joke, isn't it? That if you are not attractive and you look in a mirror, the mirror cracks because it is so distressed by the horrible vision that it's seeing. Isn't it? That is something that is often referenced, isn't it? When if somebody looks in a mirror and it cracks, it means that you're ugly.
Yes. Good.
But yes, Abdel Hamid says he likes short lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we've got a different format here with the live lessons, but this is all about conversation.
Yes.
But Mr. Duncan does have a lot of shorter, sort of more compact English teaching videos on your channel, don't you?
Yes, I have about 2,000.
Yeah, so please, if you want something a bit sort of more bite-sized, as we would say, something a bit quicker, Abdel Hamid, go to Mr. Duncan's channel and search through all his videos, and that you've got shorter ones, longer ones.
Yes, there are playlists. Well, I'm going to say now, underneath this video, under here, there are playlists, and you can see my playlists under this video. If you scroll down, move down, look at the information underneath this video, there are lots and lots of playlists with short videos as well. But the reason why, and I suppose this is a good opportunity to mention, the reason why we do this, and the reason why sometimes our live streams are very long, is it gives you the chance to have an English environment around you. But the best thing of all, it's live. You see, we are here now talking to you live at 18 minutes past 2 o'clock.
You can ask us questions about English or about anything. Or we answer questions about all sorts of topics, not just English.
Yes, we get a lot of personal questions.
Yeah, we're sort of agony aunts, I think, as well sometimes, don't we? Any personal questions, feel free to ask us. With our wealth of lifetime experience, we can maybe help point you in the right direction. But yes, this format is for you to listen to conversation.
Yes.
And you can interact with all the people on the live stream, with us, and it just gives a bit more time to do something different. But yes, do go to Mr. Duncan's channel and look at his playlist to see different length of lessons that you might want to look at those as well.
Yeah. My average lesson lasts for about 5 minutes, but some of them maybe are 10 minutes long, 20 minutes long. But of course, the live streams, because of the type of video this is, it is interactive as well. So that is another good point to mention. You can chat to me now, and not many people are doing that. Very few English teachers will do live streams because they worry that they will make mistakes and maybe they won't be very confident doing it live. However, we do it live. So we are one of the very few English teachers that actually talk about English, to interact live, and also we do it for a very long time as well, maybe 2 hours, sometimes longer.
We were longer on New Year's Day. I think we were nearly 2.5 hours. My legs and hips were aching. See, that's how dedicated we are.
Poor Mr. Steve.
To teaching English. Well, I mean, I don't know. I've just got sort of roped in over the years, haven't
Yes.
I? I mean, this is your channel. That's Mr. Duncan. It's his channel, but I'm like a sort of unpaid assistant.
You're like a wart.
An unpaid assistant, I would say.
Yes. I think Mr. Steve is like a wart that you have on your bum.
Thanks a lot.
And it never goes away.
Well,
and sometimes he appears.
I mean, if you don't want me here, Mr. Duncan, now I've got lots of housework to do.
That's your choice.
I've got to do all the heavy work around the house that, let's just say
are those words?
You've got to be careful what you say, Mr. Duncan. Careful what you wish for. There's a good expression.
Okay.
People often say, like you said, for example, you're like a bad wart, go away. Well, maybe, careful what you wish for. I may go away, and then you will be here on your own on the live streams without me.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
I'm just using that as an example of how to use the phrase careful what you wish for.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm trying to think of another example.
Yes.
Careful what you wish for. Somebody might say, well, I wish we'd have some snow. Be lovely to have some snow, wouldn't it? And then somebody might say to you, oh, careful what you wish for.
Yes.
Because when the snow comes, it's beautiful and nice for a few hours, but after that, well, perhaps you couldn't get to work, perhaps you couldn't go and buy some food, perhaps you crash your car in the snow. That phrase gives the indication that something that comes along that you might want also has a downside to it as well. Careful what you wish for.
Yes, I think so. Olga says English Addict lessons are a treasure. We are involved in the lessons, the interaction. Yes, so I think this is actually very valuable. I see and I forecast over the next 2 or 3 years, you'll see lots of other people doing this. And then maybe you will forget us and we will disappear and fade away. And there will be other people, maybe sexy people, maybe good-looking people, young people, doing live lessons and streams. And they will forget all about us. But we were here first, and no one can take that away from us. In fact, I was the first English teacher on YouTube.
You were?
It's true. I'm not joking.
How long have you been doing it now? 40 years?
16.
16, right, okay, yes.
16.
Now, that's not bad, is it?
Although now it doesn't sound like much after what you said.
A few people are talking about the cost of having your teeth fixed.
Yeah.
Going to the dentist. It's always been expensive going to the dentist, hasn't it, Mr. Duncan? Even when I was younger, it was always expensive if you went to the dentist.
It's worth mentioning, though, if you were young, if you were under 18, you would always get your dental work and all of your teeth seen to and fixed for free. And even now, a certain part of society, if you are on low income, or maybe you are claiming certain types of benefit from the government, you will still get free or maybe reduced price on your dentist work.
Yes, and I was going to say, yes, I think Bella mentioned that it cost us 5,000 euros to get all the work done on her teeth. Well, I think it's cost you not that much, but
certainly not that much.
Certainly a lot of money. Teeth are something that once you neglect them,
I would
for a period of time, it's then going to cost you more to get them. It's like anything. It's like maintenance on a car.
Can I just say, I would rather have no teeth than spend 5,000 euros.
I'm sure that Claudia wouldn't have charged you that much, Bella. Maybe you should have gone to Claudia to get a discount.
Yes.
That's a point. I wonder if Claudia gives discounts to anybody on the live stream if we. I mean, obviously, it cost us a lot of money to fly there.
Yes. I don't think you would actually get any benefit because you've got to fly all the way to Argentina.
Is there? Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? That people watching us, they've all got different careers, different jobs.
Yes.
It might be something that if we went there, we could get a discount, or anyone on the live stream could get a discount. A bit like, I mean, for example, does anyone do hair transplants?
Yes. Well, we talked about this on Sunday.
Yes, because to be honest, I'm not saying I really need it, but if it was optional and at a reasonable price, I think I'd fly somewhere, Mr. Duncan.
Or, as I said on Sunday, we can just wear a wig. I think it should be acceptable for men to wear wigs, even if you can tell, even if you know that they are wearing a wig, it should be allowed. It's a bit like a hat. So imagine wearing a hat, but instead of being made of cotton or some other material, it is hair instead. So just think of it as a hat made of hair, and then it's not so bad. So
I think ridiculous.
I think maybe in February we're going to see. We're going to start wearing a wig, each of us. So we're going to find a nice wig, each of us. And there's a great shop, I don't know if it's still there, in Wolverhampton, called Ebony Rooms. And I always remember years ago buying a wig from there for one of my videos. And they have this amazing selection of wigs, mainly for women, but they do have some men's wigs as well, I remember. So I did buy a wig for one of my crazy video lessons from years ago. So I think so, February, Mr. Steve, because it's a short month, so we don't have to do it for long. We're going to wear wigs. Right. That's it.
Talking of past lessons, Mr. Duncan.
Yes.
Bella says that she's followed you since you started. And in the past, you had a monkey helping you.
It wasn't Mr. Steve?
That monkey. I am that monkey's replacement.
Yes,
Bella. But what was the monkey's name? Was it a monkey or was it a?
We couldn't find anything better. So
was it a monkey or was it a monkey?
I had to take a step down, you see. So we had monkey, and then we went to Mr. Steve.
The monkey was far too intelligent.
Yeah, so I had to take it down a little bit. Yeah, a little chimpanzee.
Chimpanzee.
Mr. Lomax.
Mr. Lomax
was his name.
Bella.
I don't know where he is now. The last I heard, he was writing scripts for The Big Bang Theory. He'd gone to Hollywood, and he was writing scripts for The Big Bang Theory. And of course that has finished now, so I don't know what he's doing now. Not sure. Maybe he's writing the latest Marvel superhero movie or something like that.
We had some lovely comments from people on the live stream. You are beautiful and intelligent men, says English. And Franco Ferrari. Does that mean, Franco, you've got a Ferrari, or is that your surname? Are you related to the famous Italian firm?
Yes.
And can I get a discount on a Ferrari?
Yeah. You may have noticed that Mr. Steve is constantly looking for opportunities to save money, but I have a feeling that even with a discount, we won't be able to afford a Ferrari. I'm sorry about that.
A Mustang? How about a Mustang?
Still too expensive.
So I've still got to just put up with the calendar and the little model.
Yes.
For the time being.
So Mr. Steve has a little toy Mustang upstairs
that we opened live on my birthday a couple of years ago. You bought it for me. Lewis also mentioned that Lewis saw his cardiologist in November, a routine consultation. And you see, it's interesting. It actually cost Lewis €380.
Can I say that seems quite reasonable?
Well, it's part funded, so it looks like we don't exactly know, because in the UK, all your healthcare is paid for.
Yes.
Because we pay quite a high national insurance.
Well, can I just say that France does have a kind of national health service there. So I think it's done in the same way as we do it here with dentistry. You pay something, but you don't pay the full amount. So that's how I understand it. It's a little bit more complicated than here.
Yes, maybe Lewis could explain. I think from what you're saying, Lewis, I think Social Security always pay for some of it.
Yes.
And then you pay for the rest, but perhaps you can take out insurance to maybe pay for some of it or all of it as well, for the bit that you have to pay for.
It's very different from places like in the United States, for example, where a lot of things have to be paid for, and even pills, medicine. And this is something I always find amazing, Steve. Certain types of medicine are you have to pay the full price, sometimes $200 or $300 for certain types of medicine. I find that amazing. Here, we just pay a very small fee, normally about £8 or £9. I think it's gone up to about £10 now. But that's pretty good when you think that normally you would have to spend maybe £50, £60 or even £100 for your treatment, your medicine.
But if you're over 60, you get your prescriptions for free. Probably children do as well.
I'm jealous.
Yes, you do. But yeah, we do pay quite a high national insurance, they call it, when you're working, which is somewhere around £200 or £300 a month for most working people, and that covers the National Health Service. Of course, you may well have seen on the news the National Health Service is suffering really quite greatly at the moment. There are massive waiting times, queues at accident and emergency, and many people are supposedly dying because of waiting for treatment.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Because
but it
doesn't matter how much money you throw at it.
Can I just put this in perspective, though?
Go on.
It happens every year. Every single year. When I was a child, growing up, they would always have some news story about a hospital having difficulty treating their patients during the winter. So this does happen every year. I will be honest with you. Last year, the year before, during COVID, and then before then, and then 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we were always panicking during the winter months.
Yes, because there's always more flu cases and more hospital beds taken up with seasonal, what they call seasonal illnesses like flu, colds, and of course, as Mr. Duncan says, we've had COVID. Lewis says that in France, you don't have to pay for certain illnesses like cancer, diabetes, and others. But maybe, for example, say you needed a hip replacement. You see, you would get a hip replacement or a knee replacement free in the UK, although there is a very long waiting list. If you want a hip replacement, you've got to wait anything up to 2 years to get that. So a lot of people, if they've got the money, go and pay for that privately. And the cost of having a hip replaced privately is about £20,000.
That is a
something
lot.
Like that.
That's a lot of money. Bella makes a very interesting point about the system in the United States. My best friend, who's American, will have to go through an open heart procedure, a surgery on their heart. Well, first of all, that normally takes place over many hours. So I think open heart surgery, anything like that, we call it major surgery. It normally takes place, the operation takes place over many hours. And yes, it can be expensive, but my best friend has health insurance that will pay for everything. So he is lucky. That is the main system, though, isn't it?
Yes, I don't think you get anything for free unless it's emergency. I think you, if you have in a car accident, for example, then I don't think you have to pay for it then. But everything else, I think you have to pay for that.
Yes, I still think if you have an accident, Steve, you have to produce your medical insurance details straight away. But over the past, I think 10 years ago, during Barack Obama's presidency, he of course brought in the Obama healthcare system, which now allows people on low income or people who are receiving types of benefit to receive discounted or in some cases free medical treatment. So that was quite controversial because the middle class in the United States were unhappy about paying for people who can't afford to have treatment. So that was really one of the big contentions when Donald Trump came along, because he was going to scrap all of that. But he didn't, and it still exists.
Of course, the middle classes, as we know in a lot of Western economies, have to pay the bulk of the taxes to pay for all public services. They certainly do in the UK. And it's always the middle classes that get hammered. When we say hammered, they're the ones it's a good phrase to use, isn't it?
Yes.
If you get hammered for taxes, or hammered for something, it means that you are being affected the most by it. So it's all, and in the US, the middle classes have been almost taxed out of existence in a lot of cases.
Well, I think earnings,
because
can I just mention that earnings? It's something crazy at the moment, isn't it? Over a certain amount of money in the United States, isn't it? 40-50%? 40%, I think it is.
I'm not sure what the tax rate you mean.
Yes,
I don't know.
I think it's almost half. I'm sure, because we saw something a few weeks ago. I think it's 40%.
It probably depends on your income, doesn't it?
Yes. Well, that's what I mean. If you're a higher earner, but 40%, that's half of your salary. Although you probably are on maybe $250,000 a year.
I don't know. Yes.
But
I think the top tax rate in this country is 45%.
Yeah. But that's for people who earn a lot.
150,000 or more, I believe.
So that's not us.
Pounds. That's about 200,000 euros a year.
That's definitely not us.
But yes, the very poor people pay, or people with incomes under 11,000 don't pay any tax at all. And of course, as we've discussed before, if you're very wealthy, then you've got an accountant who can work out how you can avoid paying taxes altogether. So it's always the people in the middle classes, the middle earners, that end up paying the most tax towards public services.
Yes, and this is something I was saying to you the other night about middle class. The middle class is the part of society that supports most things when you think about it. So that's why the middle class is always important to have, because they are the ones that pay for everything that exists. Because then as you earn more money, Steve, you find that you can find ways then of not paying tax and avoiding those things.
Like the multimillionaires, Mr. Duncan. Yes.
Oh yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the middle class is the one that tends to pay for everything, upwards and downwards. Has the live chat stopped?
I'm not sure.
We haven't had any messages come through for ages.
Can you still hear us? We think the live chat has gone wrong.
It's just the live chat. No, the stream is okay. It's just the live chat has stopped moving. How strange. Is there anyone there on the live chat still?
Can you hear us?
Well, I think, no, we're still okay streaming. The stream is still working, Steve.
Right.
The live chat is...
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Somebody can just write something to us.
Yes, just put hello.
Then
we missed you.
Yes, the live chat has ceased.
Oh, I don't know why.
Oh, here we go. Oh, Beatrice is here.
You know what I think? I think we are talking about something that's so interesting.
Yes.
Everyone has been distracted.
Listening, watching.
They're listening very carefully to what we're saying. But I do find it interesting sometimes to look at the different ways that systems, social systems work. In this country, it's quite a controversial thing to talk about, the benefits and the welfare system in this country, because it's always being debated. There is always someone who is not happy. Maybe they feel that some people are getting too much, or maybe those who feel that they are getting too little. But I think the benefits system here, the welfare system here, is actually quite good. And I've had to use it in the past. I've had periods, small periods of time where I've had no work, so I've had to claim, and then I find a job, and then I stop, and that's it, you see. So it is good as we often refer to it as a safety net, don't we?
Yes, that's it. So you know that if you are unlucky enough to be out of work for whatever reason, you know that you can get some assistance, monetary assistance from the benefit system for a period of time to help you find another job. We are, I think, quite generous in this country generally when it comes to benefits for people. Lewis points out, of course, as an example of somebody who's very wealthy, who avoids paying taxes, or when I say avoid, I mean uses the perfectly legal system to avoid paying. Not that they're being dishonest or that they're breaking the law, but if you're very wealthy, there are ways you can avoid paying tax. And of course, Donald Trump has just been exposed in terms of his tax payments.
I think we knew that already, though, didn't we?
I know, but I'm just pointing it out.
No, I'm not attacking you, Steve. I'm just saying it wasn't exactly the best kept secret. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm just saying, So if you're very wealthy, then you put your money into businesses and do things that you can set off those losses against tax, and you end up paying nothing, even though you've got a massive income.
I think there's the defining line is avoidance and evasion.
Yes,
isn't it? So here you can avoid paying tax
through legal means,
but you can't evade paying tax.
If you evade it means you're, for example, not declaring an income to the tax man, and then they find out and you can be fined for that. Whereas if, for example, you're running a business and you make a loss and you can very legally set that loss up against your income and therefore not pay taxes, that would be maybe avoidance. But yes, evasion is the one that you would be prosecuted for.
Famous tax avoiders, Gary Barlow from Take That. He had this great system and he didn't have to pay much tax. And then they found out and then he had to apologise. And then he said, "Oh, I'm a singer though, and I'm from Take That," and everyone forgot about it. But yeah, so it's not just Donald Trump. You will be amazed how many famous people do this. Another one that people do, Steve, famous people, they go somewhere else to another country and live. They live somewhere. They become a tax exile.
Yeah.
I can name 5 people straight away who've done that. Sean Connery did it. He became a tax exile, even though for some reason he always wanted to talk about Scotland and his wonderful connection to it, even though he lived in California for most of his life.
Probably was, yeah.
Well, he avoided tax.
Well, that's it, because if you go and live in another country, where the tax rates are lower, and it's very annoying when celebrities do that, isn't it? They start making a lot of money, then they go and live abroad to avoid paying taxes to the UK, and then they're constantly commenting on what's going on in the UK or criticising.
They're still interfering, even though they have no business doing that anymore,
right.
because they've taken their millions and they are avoiding.
Businesses do that as well, don't they? I mean, businesses you can sort of understand in a way, because businesses need to be competitive to survive. So if businesses can avoid paying taxes, then if their competitor is not paying much tax because they're in a country that doesn't pay much tax, then you've sort of got to go there as well. Otherwise, you're going to be uncompetitive and you might go out of business. So I can sort of understand it with businesses, but when individuals are earning millions, anyway, well, you know what I'm saying.
Google pay no tax.
Yeah, I'm not on about Google.
Oh, okay. Then.
I'm on about, say, for example, you're building, I don't know, but say you're making washing machines, and you start up a washing machine business let's talk about what's his name who builds those, Dyson, for example.
Well, he's a tax exile.
He's a tax exile. Yes, that's it. So he's got a business.
He avoids paying any tax.
Set up in the UK to make these famous Dyson vacuum cleaners.
Yes.
and then he shifts all his business abroad. Where did he go to? China?
No, Singapore.
Singapore.
His head office is now in Singapore, and all of his products are made. The parts are made in China,
So he doesn't pay any taxes to the UK.
and he charges people £600 or £700 for just a load of plastic tubes, basically.
But you can, with businesses, you can sort of understand it because you've got to be competitive. So, taxes are obviously something that you can, if you can pay less of a business, you want to be competitive, then I can understand why businesses would move to countries that pay less tax.
Okay.
Because otherwise they'll be outcompeted by their competitors.
Yes. So he's not just trying to expand his profit margin.
Well, he probably is as well.
Having people on a few pennies an hour making his stupid plastic overpriced vacuum cleaners. By the way, don't buy Dyson products. They are horrendously overpriced pieces of crap. Honestly, trust me.
I don't think you should have said that, Mr. Duncan.
No, they are. They are. Hair dryers. They're selling a hairdryer, a Dyson hairdryer, £600 for a hairdryer made of plastic. It's plastic, everyone.
It's just a fan, isn't it? There's no real...
Yes, well, that's the point I just made.
The technology behind hairdryers was pretty much invented probably 100 years ago.
Yes.
There's not much that can really be improved. You just blow hot air at your hair.
But there are always stupid people who have money, and we all know them. We all know someone who wastes their money on things. They buy things because they can. Oh, I've got money. I can buy something. I've got a Dyson hairdryer. Look at me. Oh, I'm so sophisticated. No,
you sound very bitter, Mr. Duncan.
No, you're an idiot for buying a hairdryer that costs £600.
Well, I know lots of people, friends that bought Dyson vacuum cleaners, and they're not really any better than anything. They're not worth the money.
Aren't you just proving what I just said?
Yes, well, but that's a different subject, isn't it? That's a slightly different subject. It's whether you think it's worth paying a lot of money for a product.
It isn't.
They always seem to come. Yeah. Anyway,
it isn't. I think it's the greatest scam ever. I think it is. We even reinvented the vacuum cleaner. Everyone, it sucks.
Well, I think
more.
I think it is. It's the bagless technology.
Oh yes, I'm not talking.
Isn't it? I think it probably is better than having.
I don't care about that. I'm just saying they're overpriced. They're big pieces of plastic tubing glued together with a little motor.
I think it's a bit different to that.
£700. Don't do it. Don't buy them. But there's plenty of other lovely vacuum cleaners you can buy that are much cheaper. So there you go.
Mosen says, I don't know why you got it in for Dyson.
Well, I haven't. You brought it up.
Yeah, but they seem to be a bit bitter.
You were trying to defend businesses trying to cut their overheads, and he's blatantly profiteering from cheap slave labour and also having very nice tax reductions by moving his head office to Singapore.
Yeah, but my point I was making was that you need to be competitive in business.
Yes.
I mean, whether he's charging too much for it is another thing. That's another debate altogether.
I don't think that's a good example because he is basically fleecing people for money.
Well, but that's up to people. If they're prepared to pay the money, if they're prepared to spend the money on them, that's a personal choice.
I've covered that.
Isn't it? It's
they're people with more money than sense.
Well, it's like buying an Apple computer over a PC, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is the Apple computer worth all that much money more?
No,
but it's up to to people to decide whether they want to spend that money or not.
I would never buy an Apple computer because they are horrendously overpriced. So again, I bought an Apple iPhone because fortunately, for some reason, they've managed to make them a little bit more reasonably priced. I know what you're going to say, £700 or £800, but you can keep them for 10 years. Try to keep your Dyson for 10 years.
Well, they do tend to break. I know anyone I know that's got one, it's broken eventually.
Yeah.
Mosen says that previously there was no tax in Saudi Arabia. Well, that's why I nearly went to work there when I was in my early 20s.
Yes.
Because you could go and work in Saudi Arabia, do the same job, be paid more, and pay virtually no taxes. So that was attractive to me at the time because I thought, well, I could save up some money and retire early. But I didn't go there in the end for various reasons. But
You were afraid you might be kidnapped or taken away
I don't think that was an issue. But 30 years ago,
into a harem.
well, that could, of course,
Yes.
that would have been a real
You
possibility.
could have been someone's sex slave.
I mean, I had hair then. I used to stop people in the street.
Did you?
Yes, they used to stop and stare at me, because I was so attractive.
They still do.
Yes, I think I probably would have become some kind of sex slave
Yes, I think
had
so.
I gone there. But
You would have been chained up, covered from head to toe in baby oil.
But then maybe I would have been paid a reasonable fee for my services. So that would I still could have retired early. Maybe, Mr. Duncan.
It would look very strange on your CV.
Yes, Mosen, I have. Yes, it would have looked good on my. Well, you don't put that sort of thing on your CV, not unless that's a career that you're intending to pursue further.
Well, maybe that was your calling and you missed it.
So they only had in Saudi Arabia. They only had VAT, says Mosen.
Okay.
Yes, it's fascinating, isn't it? How we start diversing into all these different subjects.
Well, it's an interesting subject because a lot of people are thinking about money at the moment.
They are.
At the start of the new year, well, many people here in this country have to pay their tax, you see. So a lot of people now are preparing to pay their own tax. They have to do it themselves before the end of the month. And then, of course, they have to think about how they're going to live, buy food, things like that. Everything's becoming more expensive. And we're all feeling it. We're feeling it. We have to be careful now. I can only afford one box of Jaffa cakes every month, where sometimes I would have one every day. So there you go.
Well, there is a problem in sort of in rich Western countries, and not necessarily just in Western countries, where there are ageing populations, birth rates are going down. People are living longer. How do you pay for people to, for this ever increasing ageing population? It is quite a hasten to use the word burden,
but
on the taxation system, particularly healthcare. So countries and governments have to make these very big decisions on what they're going to do, and inevitably it means that working people are going to be taxed more, probably.
If you want a long life, someone has to pay for it, and quite often it has to be the person who wants to have the long life. But it's not always possible for various reasons.
And what that means is that with more and more elderly people, the burden on the government's paying pensions is higher, which is why the pensionable age is going up in the UK. You used to be able to retire at 65 in this country. Now, for me, I can't retire till I'm 67 in terms of getting a state pension. They're having a big debate about this in France at the moment. Macron wants to lower the retirement age, or raise the retiring age, I should say. So that's not going down very well. There are difficult choices have to be made when there are less people working because the birth rates have gone down, and more people who are retired at the back end of their careers, shall we say. And also in this country, they estimate that since the pandemic, about 550,000 people between the ages of 55 and 65 have stopped working, voluntarily stopped working. So they're now not paying taxes. They are of working age, but they've chosen not to work. Maybe they've downsized and taken the money out of their houses so they don't have to work anymore. And it's a big problem. They're trying to think of ways of trying to get these people back into work again. Because without those tax revenues coming in...
If they don't want to work, they're not going to, are they? If you can not... Look, it's a simple choice. Do you want to work, or do you not want to work? If you could not work. Now, come on, everyone. Let's be honest. You wouldn't, would you? You would say, you know what, I don't want to work. And I think the pandemic showed a lot of people the life that they could be leading.
Yes.
They could be having this wonderful freedom, and they had a taste of freedom because they were all locked down in their houses.
And a lot of people loved it, didn't they?
And they thought, wow, we want to do this all the time. So as soon as the pandemic stopped or ended and everything slowly returned to normal here in this country, many people just quit their jobs and took the pension.
Took the pension, retired early, particularly if you're in the health service. You can retire at 60 in the UK, and you get an NHS pension if you've been there about 30 years. And, I forgot what I was going to say there, Mr. Duncan. I had something it's on the tip of my tongue, a point I was going to make. I think it was about during the lockdown, lots of people were... Yes. So, no, what I was going to say was a lot of people who've been working over the last 30, 40 years, because house prices in the UK have gone up massively, far ahead of what wages are. I mean, the price of a house now is compared to what an average wage is something like 5 or 10 times greater than it was.
Okay.
So that means a lot of people of my sort of age have a lot of equity, a lot of money that has built up in their houses over the last 20 or 30 years.
What do you mean they keep the money in one of the houses?
No, it's just the value
room.
of the house is now so great.
Oh, I see.
Compared to what it would have been relative to your wage 20 or 30 years ago, then a lot of people, what they're doing is they're in a nice, say, 4-bedroomed house, and they're sort of 60, 55, 60. So they think, I can downgrade, I can sell that house, release that money, and just go and live in a much smaller house.
Yes, basically.
Because there's so much money in there.
So basically, they sell a chunk of their property, the value, maybe to a bank, and then they get cash. But when they die, of course, the bank will own some of that house.
Yeah, or they just sell the house and go into a smaller house.
That's it. So there are many ways of doing it. But if you had the choice, come on, let's be honest. We're friends. If you had a choice, you could give up your job, stop working, or carry on doing the job until you drop. Which would you choose?
Well, you see if you look at what's happened to the price of houses, I don't think it's quite the same in France.
Okay.
For example, because I know you, particularly in the country, you can pick up a house in France much cheaper than you can in the UK. Still, I don't know about, obviously the cities are the same.
I think Paris, you'll find it's somewhat the reverse.
Well, it will be in the major cities,
yes.
but outside the major cities I'm talking about. Whereas in the country here, the house prices are very high, not as high as in the cities. I mean, when I first bought my first flat...
so I've kind of got a whole subject to talk about.
Oh, right. We won't go into that. So when I first bought my first flat, just very quickly, just showing it, which my father encouraged me to do, very rightly, and I was glad he did.
Yes. The only good piece of advice he ever gave you.
Yes. So the price of that flat was worth about double what my annual wages were at the time. So I think I was earning about $10,000 a year, and I bought the flat. This is going for about £20,000 at the time. So the price of the property was worth only about double what your wages were. Now, the price of a property is probably 5 or 10 times what your annual income would be. So therefore, people have been able to build up this generation, the baby boomers, as they call them, people that were born in the sort of 60s, have built up lots of money in property and are able to use that money to retire early, which a lot of them have been doing.
So the thing you just told us then?
Yeah, that's right, yes.
You told us twice. That's good. That was a good 5 minutes well spent there of my airtime. So it's coming up to 3 o'clock, and we are talking about things that you might be trying to stop doing. You might be trying to give things up because it's the start of a new year, isn't it, Steve? And as we mentioned a few moments ago, people have plans. Maybe they think of the future. They think of the next 12 months, what is going to happen over the next year? Maybe you can make some changes for yourself. Maybe you can change your own way of life. And that is something a lot of people do at this time of year with their resolutions.
Right, that's a good subject, Mr. Duncan. Olga says the grass looks very green.
Yeah.
The grass is always green at all times of the year in the UK. It's still very much, we're in the middle of winter, aren't we?
It doesn't feel like it.
It's quite warm today.
It's 13 degrees today.
Quite warm.
It's bizarre.
You'll notice that there are no leaves on some of the trees, so you can tell we're still in winter. There's no frost. You are right in a way. Spring is on the way, but it's another couple of months away yet.
It's March.
Not till March.
3 months.
But the grass is always green anyway.
Yes.
That's just grass that you can see there.
Yes. It's also very windy, but incredibly mild. I could actually go outside now in my T-shirt and walk around the garden and not feel cold. It's bizarre. It's very strange, isn't it?
It's suddenly, yes, it's swinging from low temperature to high temperature. And the whole of Europe is experiencing very mild times at the moment, very mild winter. I mean, Switzerland, they're saying that on the skiing slopes, the snow's melting and causing flooding. We saw that in the news. Gas prices have come down because Europe isn't using so much gas because it hasn't been a harsh winter.
Yeah, it's sort of ironic, I suppose, because we were all worried since August, September last year. We were all talking about how terrible it's going to be during the winter. No one is going to be able to afford to have heating. And here we are now with, well, basically springtime temperatures when it should actually be very cold.
Yes. So that's what certain leader in Russia was hoping for, was a cold winter to make everyone more dependent on his energy, but that hasn't happened because we've managed to get lots of natural gas, liquefied natural gas from other places around the world, particularly America, and it's been a mild winter anyway.
Yes.
So I think we're going to be all right. But I don't think we're going to get these power cuts, Mr. Duncan.
No, as long as the weather doesn't change, and you know what happens. We've had snow as late as April here in the UK. So it doesn't mean we are clear of all of those problems. It doesn't mean we are out of the woods.
Out of the woods. I was going to use that expression. Yeah, that's a good expression, that is, isn't it?
If you are out of the woods, it means you are away from the danger.
Yes.
The danger has gone. You are out of the woods.
Because if you walk in the woods, you might get attacked by a bear. Or not in the UK.
A bear what?
I don't know. But yes, actually, people have often asked us before, when then they've seen videos of us in the countryside, in the woods, that we might get attacked. But we don't have any wild animals to attack us in the forest in the UK.
Unless there's a sociopath on the loose.
That's different, yes.
Might get attacked by the local loony.
Do you want me to retire?
No, you can stay here
while
if you want.
you.
We can talk about things. Oh, okay, then go then.
I'm just joking.
I don't know. I don't know
I am
if you
getting
do.
hungry, of course.
Okay then.
But I'll stay.
It's up to you.
I'll stay for a bit longer, Mr. Duncan.
You can see these are the conversations we often have during the day. Steve says, I want to do something, shall I do it? And I go, well, it's up to you. And you go, well, do you want me to do it? And I go, well, and you go, oh, shall I do it? And I go, well, it's up to you. And you go, well, I don't know really.
I didn't know what the protocol was, Mr. Duncan, for today. The protocol. There's a good word. Protocol.
Okay.
Well, it just means what are we going to do? What's the order of doing things? What should we be doing?
Yes, things that are done in a specific way or a specific order is the protocol. The way things are done or the way things should be done.
Or organised. We haven't agreed ahead of time.
So it's up to you, Mr. Steve.
Well, I'll stay for a bit longer, but...
Don't force yourself.
No, I want to stay, but I wasn't sure whether... Because, when we've done these before...
Do you want...
At this point...
Do you want Mr. Steve to stay or not? So if you say... He wants you to say no. so he can go. So do you want Mr. Steve to stay? So yes or no? Mr. Steve, does he go or does he stay?
Whatever the first person says, I will obey.
Okay.
But you said we were only going to be on for an hour, Mr. Duncan.
Well, I didn't realise that you were going to spend 30 minutes talking about your expensive flat.
Harnor says yes, but does that mean stay or go?
Well, two say yes, stay. Anyone else? There must be quite a delay today on the live stream. Absolutely yes, says Beatrice.
Thank you, Beatrice.
That's pretty.
I can't argue with my fan base.
By the way, I have an important message that Mr. Steve has made me forget because of his gibble.
Tune in to the message.
Gabbling. Here is a big special thank you. Can I say a big thank you to Federico Garmendia for your lovely donation that I received at the very end, and this is the most amazing part of it, at the very end of last Sunday's live stream. So as the live stream finished, the actual donation popped up on my notifications. So thank you very much, Federico, for your generous and lovely donation. If you want to make a donation, of course, to help all of this continue forever and ever until the end of time, then you can see the address at the bottom of the screen. Thank you very much.
Yes, lovely. So what are we going to talk about again, Mr. Duncan? What did you say it was going to be?
The thing I've just talked about with the plans for the new year.
Right.
Normally, we make decisions based on things that we want to change about ourselves, maybe something that we do, maybe there is something that we do, or maybe something that we have in our lives that we want to change. Quite often, we talk about habits, and we all have them. You have them, Mr. Steve. I can't begin to tell you how many bad habits Mr. Steve has. I can name at least 2 straight away. Biting your nails. What's the what? Can you guess what the other one is?
Do these nails look bitten to you?
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Oh, I wish I had my very close-up camera so we could see Mr. Steve's terror. They are chewed to pieces.
They're not chewed to pieces.
They are. Your thumbs especially. He's not going to show his thumbs because they're just stumps.
Everybody chews their nails.
There are bones showing.
Well, I've got a friend who chews her nails so much that she has to have plasters around her fingers.
Well, she puts little rubber things.
Well, I know because
she wears little rubber sheaths over her fingers to stop her from biting them.
Well, yes, it's. I mean, I've always been a nail biter. My father used to put mustard on my fingers when I was a little boy.
Okay.
To discourage me from biting my nails.
So that explains the reason why my mother used to put mustard down my underwear. Now I know.
There we go. It didn't work, of course, because I just used to go and wash it off. But I think it's a nervous thing. I've always done it. It's just a habit. It's a bad habit, yes. And I don't do it as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
Although I have found a very good way of, if anyone is a nail biter, if anyone bites then at least I don't bite my toenails, Mr. Duncan.
No, some people do.
Because I couldn't get I'd love to, but I can't get my feet up to my face.
What about somebody else's feet?
I'm not flexible enough.
You could bite my toenails.
That's an idea. Yes. Oof. No, but no. A good tip for, because it is a habit. It's once you start, it's sort of it's almost enjoyable. But it's a habit, so you can break it. What I've discovered the best way of doing it, if anyone is interested, if anyone bites their nails and wishes to learn how not to do it, is to wear some gloves.
gloves?
I've got these. Well, they're white gloves, but I think anything. I've got these white cotton gloves.
Have you ever seen the gloves that butlers wear? Or people
Yes.
in very fancy restaurants, the waiters, they wear these white gloves. They're very, very nice, made of cotton. Mr. Steve wears them sometimes when he wants to avoid biting his nails.
Say, for example, if I'm watching the television, so that's a prime time when I might be tempted to start fiddling around with my nails, biting them, chewing them, because I might be a bit bored in front of the television. I mean, I wouldn't do it now because I'm engaged, I'm interested. It's when my mind becomes idle that I will sort of, I get a bit sort of anxious when I'm not doing things, and I start to sort of fiddle and bite my nails. So that often happens in front of the television. So if I put these gloves on, they're lightweight, not big, thick outdoor gloves.
No, they're like the ones that posh waiters wear.
That's it. Well, I had those
or magicians.
I had those when I was in a role, a stage role, and I've just that you hardly know they're on, and I just sit there. It looks a bit odd, I must admit.
It does look odd.
Sitting there in front of the television with these white gloves on, but that stops me completely from biting my nails.
When Mr. Steve wears them, I keep thinking he's going to perform some magic trick. Maybe make a little dove appear or pull a rabbit out of his pocket.
So, yeah, there we go. There's an example of when we're not just teaching English, but also helping people in their everyday lives with maybe breaking a habit that they wish to break.
So if you are a person who likes to bite your nails, wear gloves.
It works.
It works.
It works. Well, it worked for me.
Although you will then get a habit of eating your gloves.
Because I find with nail biting, it starts small. You just do a little bit of, and then before you know it, you've got your whole hand in there, sort of biting away. And it sort of escalates, and there's no real reason for it. But if you put the glove on, it just breaks it. And then even when you take it off after an hour, you're for some reason not tempted to go back to it. So that's my tip for 2023.
So would you say that to kick the habit means to stop, to give up, to push away? You are trying to change something. So kick the habit. It's a great expression. We often use this when we want to express something we feel the need to actually stop doing. And this time of year, whenever the new year comes around, there are many, many people who make plans for the things they want to do, but also ways of improving their life as well. So you might want to stop doing something, you want to give up something, you want to push away a certain habit or maybe a way of behaving.
If you want to share with us your disgusting habits and that you wish to give up, then feel free to tell us, because when you start vocalizing these habits or these or writing it down, then it's almost like therapy. You're sort of admitting that you have an issue here, and that might help you kickstart.
Well, I am a big I'm a big believer in visualization. I must admit, when I come up with my ideas for lessons or things I want to do, quite often I can play them in my head, and I don't know how I do it or why it happens, but sometimes I can see the lesson. So many of the lessons that I've made over the years, I've actually seen it already in my head. It's played, and then all I do is then put it into reality. And I think it's the same with giving up habits. If you visualize it, you put it into semi-reality because it's up here. So even things that happen in your head, Steve, can seem real, like a dream. So I think you can actually do that. You can visualize, you can make something real just by thinking about it. Something positive, something you want to do, something you want to change, maybe.
Yeah. Bella says that there is a positive side to biting your nails in that it will stimulate your immune system. Well, that may well be true. You may well have bacteria and things, and that by consuming it, it may strengthen your immune system. But I haven't found that to be the case, because what you could do, in theory, that could work. but you might pick up a virus that's on a door handle.
Especially in recent times.
You might get a nasty case of the flu or something.
Don't do that.
I'll tell you what you probably would get as well is you're at great risk of getting some kind of gastrointestinal upset, maybe a bit of diarrhea or something, or sickness.
What we call the squits.
Yeah, particularly if you're door handles and things, you might touch a door handle in a shop. Somebody's touched that door handle and they haven't washed their hands and they've just been to the toilet and they've got an infection, maybe they've got diarrhea, and then you just carelessly put your fingers in your mouth and you can pick it up.
No.
So, it could stimulate your immune system, but it could make you also liable to catching something you don't want to get.
I have a bad habit, and this is something I've never mentioned before. This is the first time, and I've never mentioned this. This is a private thing, a personal thing.
Do I know about it?
Yes. Something that I do. It's a bad habit. I'm very bad whenever I get a little wound or maybe a spot. I can never resist picking it. And I will do this for weeks and weeks. At the moment, I have a little spot on my head. And over the past 2 or 3 months, I've been picking it. And now it's huge. It's now a large wound.
Disgusting.
And there is well, did you know that there is a medical term for that? And I didn't realise it is actually a psychological thing.
Really?
And you can get treatment for it, where a person can't stop picking something, maybe a spot or a wound, and the person will keep going back and they will pick and pick. Even if it makes it bleed or damages the skin, they will keep doing it. And it's an actual psychological thing. And a lot of people suffer from this. So I've realised that I now have this. You noticed it yesterday.
I did notice it, yes.
You said, what's happened to your head? You've got this huge thing on your head. And it started off as a small spot. But what I've done, sometimes when I'm sitting with you, so you're chewing your nails and I'm picking the spot at the top of my head. And now it's like a big wound. So even though it hurts, and even though it bleeds, I still have to keep picking it.
I think you can break that habit very easily, Mr. Duncan, by putting a plaster over it.
Or wearing a hat.
Or wearing a hat. Well, you do, yeah. I do think there is something wrong with the live chat, you know.
Yes, it's very strange.
We seem to be getting long gaps where nobody's putting any comments in, or there seems to be a bit of a delay with the live chat.
Yes. The stream is definitely working. That's the video part. But the live chat, I can only assume we are so interesting today.
We must be commanding your full attention.
I think that's what it is. I think it must be.
There do seem to be some problems with the live chat because
we still have the reply to whether you should stay or go.
Yes,
Franco, and that was ages ago.
Yes.
So is anyone still using the live chat? I know the live stream is working.
Beatrice said that she's noticed the same thing.
Very strange.
I don't think...
I think it's just because we are so interesting today.
I think it's. I think what's happened is that Mr. Dyson, has heard your awful comments about his products, he's phoned up somebody in YouTube. And
you got that wrong.
Something.
You said my comments about his awful products is what you should have said.
What did I say?
You said my awful comments about his products.
Okay.
My comments about his awful products.
Beatrice says it's interesting, but she has noticed that.
Yes. I think everyone's just hanging on to our words.
This will be a first time if that is true.
Yeah. But there is, I'm sure someone is now going to Google or go to Wikipedia to find out what that's called. There is a name for it. And I know I do it. And even though I know I do it, I still do it. I still keep picking this thing on the top of my head. But it's strangely enjoyable. Is that weird?
Yes, Bella said.
Am I weird?
It's probably. Bella says that Bella's made quite a few comments, but it feels like she's just making a monologue.
Yeah.
So yes, and we have quite a few people watching. Please, we encourage you to use the live chat. And apologies if you are using it, but your comment isn't coming up. So yes, Bella said that she would like to have more motivation and to acquire a new healthy habit.
Yes.
Well, that's it. It's not just necessarily about kicking a habit or stopping doing something a habit you don't like, but also maybe acquiring a healthy habit, maybe
Yes.
exercise.
Mm.
Maybe you decide you want to go for a walk every day, or maybe you decide you want to give up chocolate.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about that in a moment.
Right.
To resolve to give something up, you resolve to do it. So you make a resolution. A resolution is something that you want to do. Maybe you write a list of things you want to do. You make a definite plan. You resolve to do it. You are going to put that right. A thing you wish you could stop doing, and this is what Steve just said, a thing you wish you could stop doing, a thing that you want to give up can be a thing you want to kick. You want to kick that particular habit. A bad habit might be a compulsion. That's what I just said about me with my strange habit of picking the top of my head and making it bleed. But it's just, it's a bit like you with your fingernails. There's
Fingernails.
something satisfying about it.
Yes, there's something about it. And also I would say another thing that I do that I'd like to break the habit of is sort of overthinking things all the time and getting into this habit of sort of something happens and you may be a bit upset by it, but then your mind sort of takes over and almost becomes a sort of, you almost go into sort of a fantasy world. And it takes on proportions which are not real. So you start to think, well, what do they mean by that? Say, for example, somebody says something or sends a text to you, and you look at that and you think, I don't like the look of that comment, or they didn't put an emoji after it. Are they being serious? And then you start to go off into, well, did I upset them? Did I say something to upset them? And that can be very destructive.
The word you're looking for is dwell. Mr. Steve is a dweller. He dwells. He thinks things over and over, even things that have happened days or weeks ago. He'll sometimes bring them back and think about them, and they irritate you, don't they?
Yes. Well, people irritate me. No, but something happens. Somebody might say something, and then you might think, what do they mean by that? And then you start going off into sort of flights of fancy, as we say. You start to sort of maybe exaggerate reality in your mind. And you start to have conversations with yourself or with that person that never took place.
Shall we just leave it there?
And then you start to have fantasies about going out and maybe killing that person. I'm joking.
Because that's always a good joke, isn't it?
I'm joking.
To pretend you want to kill someone.
But your mind can sort of go off, particularly at night. If you wake up at night, in the middle of the night, it's dark, and your body's always fearful of the dark, and starts to push into your mind all these ridiculous thoughts, and it's very difficult to break that. I'm sure we're saying something interesting that would justify a comment from somebody.
Is anyone there on the live chat? The stream is working definitely, but it's actually the live chat underneath. What's going on? Why is no one talking to us? I feel so lonely suddenly.
Oh, I think they've all decided they want to talk to us. Mr. Duncan. Obviously, that's how you can go off into sort of flights of fancy, isn't it?
Or whatever that was.
Or whatever that was. Yeah. Say something to us, please. We feel lonely. I feel lonely and rejected.
This has never happened before.
It hasn't. So I think there is something wrong with the live stream.
No, the live stream is okay.
The live chat.
Yes, the live chat. The live stream and the live chat are separate things, you see.
Jadika's here.
You can have the live chat when there is no stream actually working or operating.
Let's assume that we are so interesting to listen
Yes.
to.
Well, I've said that already.
That, nobody has time to write anything in the live chat.
Okay, yes. I can tell that the interest might be dwindling suddenly.
But yes, please let us know. This will get you writing. Please let us know any bad habits that you want to give up,
Yes.
or any good habits that you'd like to acquire
Yes.
in 2023.
I think everyone is concentrating on our conversation.
Well, it's a good start to
But I
2023.
think
isn't it, Mr.
sometimes you
Duncan?
worry too much anyway about the live chat, because there are a lot of people who watch and never speak
I
or
like
never
the
write.
live chat. I
Anyway,
love the live
Steve.
chat.
Anyway, a bad habit might be a compulsion, something you feel compelled, something you can't stop yourself from doing. You might want to cut out the bad habit. To cut out is to end or stop or remove that thing. I must kick the habit. And I suppose you could say that kicking something is pushing it away, pushing it off. You are saying that you don't want to do that anymore. You want to kick that habit. You want to stop doing it. A habit might not be bad. So that's another thing that is worth saying. A habit might not be a bad thing. So there can be habits that you have that aren't bad. And I can think of quite a few. Well, when you think of habits such as exercise.
Yes.
So you can have a habit of exercise where you keep your body fit and healthy. So that is a habit, but it's not necessarily a bad habit, although you can do it too much, in which case it will become a bad habit.
Yes, that's a very good point, Mr. Duncan. Good habits can turn into bad habits if you do too much of them. And exercise is a case in point, as we say, because people can start exercising and then start running or jogging, and then they start doing more and more, and then it becomes a bad habit, because if you have too much exercise, you start to get joint pains and you know, it sort of ages you, doesn't it, if you have too much exercise?
It wears your body.
Well, I know people, runners in particular, are susceptible, and cyclists, people who do lots of cycling. It becomes an addictive process, because you start exercising because you want to be healthier, and then when you do that exercise and you do it for longer and longer, you get this release of endorphins, don't you, into your brain.
Yes.
And if you don't then get that exercise the next day, you feel low because you're not getting that release of these feel-good hormones. And so maybe all habits are releasing these. It's like when you eat a cake, isn't it? Or have some chocolate, your brain is releasing these feel-good hormones. So that's why it's difficult to give up these habits.
Yes, but we're on about good habits that can become bad habits. So exercise is a good one, I suppose. So something that you do, but you do it too much. We've all been there. I was a teenager once. There were many things as a teenager I used to do all the time that were fun, but in the end, it becomes a little bit of a bad habit.
Yes, that's a good point.
Especially when your mum walks in.
Good habits can become bad habits if taken to the extreme. Here's a good one. Must classes Codoir.
Okay.
Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Procrastination.
Yes.
Procrastination.
That's what my mother caught me doing. I thought that was quite clever. My mother caught me procrastinating once.
Let's just... Okay, well, there's a habit that, often people in religious areas tell you not to do. No, procrastination is that.
Trust me, the religious ones are doing it more than anyone else.
Procrastination is where you keep putting off doing something, isn't it?
That's it.
Procrastinate. You want to do something, you keep putting it off. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it the next day. And it becomes stressful because you want to achieve something you want to, like looking for a new job, like starting exercise, like going on a diet. Oh, I'll do that tomorrow.
Yes.
Then
Well,
the next day comes and you don't do it.
Well,
Then the next day comes.
a good one is maybe decorating a room in your house.
There's a good one.
Yes. I think it's things like that where people really get stuck with something you've got to do. I think everyone who has a house, there is one room in that house that they keep wanting to do something with, but they never do it. It just becomes the junk room or the place where they put all of their rubbish and things they don't want. But every time you go, I'm going to decorate that room.
Yes.
I'm going to do it, but you never do it. You put it off.
You
put
get
it
distracted
off.
with
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
And one good way I do know that helps with procrastination, so this may help you must classes, is to write it down what you want to do. Because apparently, I read about this again only yesterday. When you say you want to do something, go on a diet or decorate a room, I write it down. I will start decorating the room on a certain date, or I will, whatever it is, I will write it down, and then keep looking at it. But the act of writing it down actually does something in your brain and makes it far more likely that you will actually do it. Actually, physically, just saying it in your head isn't enough. Write it down, and then the next day look at it, and then maybe write it down again, and that incentivizes your brain into turning that wish into an actual thing.
Yes.
So that is what I would advise.
Can I say hello to the
protest.
live chat? The live chat is here.
It's come alive.
And now we have some answers and some questions and some things. Gavin Yang. Hello, Gavin Yang.
Hello, Gavin.
I like to get up early in the morning, and that is going to be my new good habit. Getting up early in the morning. A lot of people live, apparently millionaires. If you want to be a multi-millionaire, you have to get up at 4 a.m. Apparently that's the secret. So if you get up at 4 a.m., you will become a millionaire.
But you do, it is, I find it stressful if I get up late because because you tend to achieve a lot in the morning, don't you? And I find it stressful if you get up late and then suddenly you look at your watch and it's 11:30 and you haven't done anything. And I find that stressful. Whereas if you get up early, and they do say you should always get up at the same time every day, even at weekends. You know, if I get up at, say, 8:30, I feel almost dirty, almost guilty.
8:30?
Yes.
8:30 is early.
Whereas if I get up at 6:30 or 7, I feel as though, I'm getting ahead of all the tasks I want to do.
I can't remember the last time you got up at 6:30 in the morning.
But what I'm
Unless
saying,
it's to go for a wee.
Gavin, is that is a habit I would like, and we've mentioned this.
Yeah.
Because now I'm not working at the moment, it's very easy to get into this habit of going to bed late. And of course, the later you go to bed, the later you're going to get up, because if you're not setting an alarm, because your body's going to want that sleep.
But isn't going to bed late just making your day longer as well? So you're just having it long at the end of the day instead of the start.
Yes, but the thing is, you don't tend to do things late at night, apart from sit in front of the television. So you're not going to be doing, at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, you're not going to be decorating. You're not going to be going for exercise and things like that. So you tend to waste those hours later on in the day, and then you're not getting those. My mother always used to say, you should only stay in bed if you're ill. Apart from that, you should get your 8 hours and then get up and do things. So there we go. So thank you, Must Classes. Beatrice, did Beatrice say, who was it that said, Beatrice said, I'm trying to gain weight.
Well, some people do.
Well, yes.
Yes, not everyone can be fit and lithe and wonderful like you, Mr. Steve. I used to try and do it when I was a child. When I was young, I used to eat all the time because I was always painfully thin, really, really thin, skinny. I looked like I was having or undergoing some sort of strange metamorphosis into a stick insect.
Now you've metamorphosized into something else.
Yes. And
hello, Shihab Ahmed.
thanks.
Says hello. We're saying hello back. And we invite you to make a contribution to the live chat in terms of habits you want to kick or new habits that you want to acquire for 2023.
Yes.
Lewis says the most difficult habit he gave up was smoking. And that we often see that, don't we? I mean, my father tried to give up smoking his entire life and he didn't succeed at all. Well, he stopped when he got cancer and the doctor said, I advise you to stop smoking. And then he stopped, but he was already into his late 60s by that stage.
I think that's the situation that's called it's too late.
And of course, it's very, very difficult to give up smoking. We know it's a very difficult habit to break because it's not just the nicotine, it's the association between lighting a cigarette and the habit, all that, it all becomes comfortable. It's like me biting my nails. It's comfortable.
Yes.
I find it comfortable.
It's like me picking the top of my head.
Yes, and other things.
Yes, it's comfortable. It makes you, for some reason, it makes you feel quite relaxed. I don't know why. I have no idea why it does that. So maybe you want to change your ways to alter one's behaviour in a positive way. So normally at this time of year, we think about changing the way we live, maybe our habits, maybe the things that we do, maybe the things we don't do. The new year is a chance to start afresh. I like that one.
Yes.
You start afresh. You start with a new page, a blank sheet of paper. The world is your oyster and the year is yours to do with whatever you want. How's that?
Very good. Eric Silva. Hello, Eric. Or Eric. Brazilian, living in Ireland, and I've learnt a lot with you teaching. And Eric is saying hello to the Brazilian community who are often on Mr. Duncan's live streams.
We do have a lot of people in Brazil, South America, across Argentina as well, watching. Yes, definitely.
Yes, here's Pedro. Here's a fellow Brazilian on at the moment. Pedro is here.
Pedro Belmont.
Lovely to see you here. Any habits that we're talking about, kicking bad habits or gaining new habits, if there's something that you would like to, a bad habit you would like to kick, please let us know.
Yes. So you start afresh. You start with something new. So even though we are only 4 days into the new year, I would imagine a lot of people are now starting their New Year's resolutions. They are deciding the things they want to change in their life. Anwar,
is that how you pronounce your name? Wants us to pronounce a certain word, but just in case it's rude, I'm not going to do it. Not sure what that word is. It's probably a swear word or something. Is it a swear word? Or is it something that we could pronounce and not upset other viewers who speak your language? So I won't say that, but... Right, Mr. Duncan.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just saying.
I wasn't sure where we were
the
going.
live chat, you see, as now... I would like to meditate, says Pedro, but it's quite difficult due to monkey something. All right. What is it? Is it the monkeys making a noise near where you live? Is that it? Maybe you should eradicate the monkeys.
What? Okay. I hope that's never taken out of context.
Maybe maybe wear some headphones. Well, I do a lot of meditation, don't I, Mr. Duncan?
You do. You're doing it now, I think.
You do need peace and quiet. That is right. You do need to have some peace and quiet. Maybe wear some of these noise-cancelling headphones, or just put some cotton wool in your ear. May work there. I've recently taken up not Tai Chi, Qigong, which is a sort of a milder form of Tai Chi, which I find incredibly relaxing. Almost as good, if not better, than actual meditation, because you're involving sort of physical. You're doing things with your hands and with your body, so it's actual physical workout.
That's what those strange noises were.
Exactly, yes.
By the way, it's not changing your health and temper.
Anwar, yes, I said it correctly. Good.
Good.
Yeah, we're good here, Pedro. Thank you very much.
We're not too bad, actually, considering it's 4 days now into the new year. I wonder how many people, by the way, Steve, I wonder how many people have already got the year wrong. Has anyone out there got the year wrong? Have you signed a cheque, or maybe you've written a letter or an email and you've got the year wrong? And that's common, isn't it, this time of year? I imagine a lot of people are still writing 2022 on their letters, or maybe on their emails.
But not on their cheques, because nobody writes cheques anymore.
Well, you might see again, Steve.
Well, very few.
You are assuming a lot of things. I think cheques are still used a lot around the world. And it's just because we don't use them here. I think they still exist.
Anwar means light.
Oh, I see.
And Lewis points out that it's the same. Do you remember the Egyptian president Anwar Sadat?
He did not have a good time at the end.
He was assassinated, I believe, wasn't he?
Yes. I think his own soldiers, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
They did. I think it was his own bodyguards or something.
He was on a parade, and they just went up to him, and I think they shot him.
I think that is true. Lewis will probably be able to tell us about that. Oh no, that was. Well, it might have been, but I remember, who was the Gandhi? Here
we go.
The Indian Prime Minister. She was a lady. Gandhi was her name. It was her bodyguards that assassinated her. Certainly.
Okay. I think it has happened more than once.
Yes.
I think it is a common way of assassinating someone if you want to. You can just use your own army.
So what is that word that you wanted us to pronounce, Anwar?
So have you got the... Steve just drifts off. Have you got the year wrong yet? Fortunately for me, I haven't got the year wrong yet. Because quite often when I'm writing up there, you see, when I'm making the information up there for my live stream, quite often I might get things wrong, you see. But you can see up there in the corner of the screen, I've got it right, 2023. But I'm sure a lot of people already have done that.
Indira Gandhi, that was it.
Indira Gandhi. Oh, yes, that's it.
Fernando's still putting 1998 down as the date.
Well, that was a pretty good year.
That was a good year.
It's probably the last good year that we had on the planet, to be honest. So, yes, that might be the reason why. Maybe you are wishing that it was 1998 again. So
there we go. Yes, Pedro's read the biography of Anwar Sadat. That's something I would like to do.
What?
Read more books.
I thought you said become the president of Egypt.
Read more books. That's right. I'm writing that down. Okay. I would like to read instead of reading on the internet.
Okay.
Read a novel. Because all I ever tend to do, in fact, my teachers used to point this out to me when I was younger, I read lots of information about sort of science and politics and what's going on in the world, but I don't read novels.
No.
You know, books where you can immerse yourself in this fantasy world of a novel. And I think that I'm going to do that.
Trust me, Steve. If there's one place you spend most of your time, it's in a fantasy world.
Yeah, but I want to be in somebody else's fantasy world, not my own nightmarish fantasy world.
That is true. So I would imagine a lot of people have got that wrong so far. The year they've got it wrong. They've written it down incorrectly. Another thing I want to mention, because last weekend, Steve, on Sunday, we were talking about the internet. And at the start of today's live stream, we were making a little joke about looking at things on the internet. Instagram is one of those strange places if you go to and if you look at the feed for a long time, you start to see weird things, although mine seems to have corrected itself now. So now, when I go through Instagram, I get a lot of clips from Family Guy instead.
Instead of what you were talking about the other day. Which
instead
is,
of young Korean guys kissing each other.
Yeah.
Or, or pretending.
So are you disappointed that they've gone?
I'm strangely relieved.
Right, okay.
In more ways than one.
There we go. Push yourself. Read one book per month.
Yes.
Well, that's it, you see. If you're going to set yourself a goal, we've mentioned this in previous years, if you're setting New Year resolutions, goals, they've got to be in a certain format for it to actually work. So you've got to say exactly what you want to do and when you want to do it by, and then it's going to be more likely to come true. Forgotten what they call it now. It's setting goals. The best way to set goals is to have it sort of have a time period on it and be very specific about what it's specific, measurable, time bound, and something else is there's an acronym for that.
Okay.
I can't remember what it is now.
So
and then you're more likely to do it. Realistic is the other one.
Yes. Well, yeah. That's. These are all long shots.
Well, and that's it. So there would be probably one book a month would be too much for me, but I might be able to say I could read, one a month. Yeah.
Maybe one chapter a month.
Yeah, I'm going to get a novel. I used to love science fiction. I might return back to that genre.
You won't.
I might do. I might read all the old science fiction books that I've got upstairs from years ago.
I love reading biographies and stories about people's lives. You can learn a lot by reading another person's experiences or about.
You do like that, don't you?
The way. So I'm always fascinated by people's lives.
Maybe read. Maybe Pedro can lend you Anwar Sadat's biography.
Yes, or I could just buy it, get it on Kindle.
Yeah.
Or on Amazon.
And maybe it might give you... No, I won't say that. Right. Reading is awesome. Yes, you can. You can get very emotional when reading a book because you get right into the characters of the book. Yes, I'm going to do more reading, Mr. Duncan.
Okay.
Do more. See, just writing, do more reading. You see, that wouldn't be a good goal-setting method. Do more reading. You'd have to say something specific. I will start reading a book on, and then I will read this book and then start a new book. You've got to be specific about it.
Yes. What about the title of the book?
Well, what you could say is, I will research a book that I want to read and I will complete that task by the end of this week or something.
It just sounds like too much trouble to me.
That's how people succeed in life. They set goals.
Is it?
And they achieve those goals and they set them in a certain way.
We will be going in a moment. I wasn't expecting to stay on so long, Steve.
Ababa says hi. Hi, Ababa. Haven't seen you before. You probably have been here. Yes, hi. Hi. Hi back to you.
Hello to you, Ababa.
I knew Nitram would like science fiction. I knew that. Because, scientific mind like mine.
Well, the word robot refers to the word slave. Did you know that, Steve?
No.
Yes. So there you go. Now you know.
So no doubt, Nitram, you will know about, was it Asimov that wrote I, Robot?
Yes, yeah. I think he had his birthday recently. Well, he's not alive now, of course. Isaac Asimov with his laws of robots.
Ooh,
so don't do harm to a person. Don't do anything that might cause rust. So don't swim. Apparently that was one of his laws. Don't go for a swim if you are a robot because you will become very creaky and rusty.
I didn't know about Carol Capek. I didn't know about that particular person.
That's where the term robot was originally used.
Right.
Yes. Slave.
And
Servant, a person made to work.
could do with a few robots then in my life. Foundation, the Foundation series by, I think that they were by Asimov, are fantastic science fiction books. I wonder if you've read them, Nitram. The Stainless Steel Rat is a funny sort of light-hearted series of books by, I can't remember who the writer of those were.
So I hope you're making notes of this.
Oh, right, here we go. I've got suggestions for books. Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, yes. Well, that's a classic.
Yes.
That's a classic.
I think I'll start with War and Peace.
Who is that man? Who is he? He is the Count of Monte Cristo.
I think to get me into the habit of reading a book, War and Peace, I think I'll start with that one. It's a short little book, isn't it? It won't take me long.
That's it. You could spend probably the rest of your life reading that one.
Yeah.
It's very long.
I'll just watch the TV adaptation.
Okay.
There used to be a television programme, The Count of Monte Cristo. Was it a cartoon?
No, it was an actual real action.
The Metamorphoses by Frank
Well, it's based on the
Kafka.
old book.
Right, okay. I'm getting some education here.
Good. Apparently, Rossum's Universal Robots is the Capek novel where the word robot was first used.
Thank you, Nitram.
Yes. So yes, that's good. I like the sound of that. That's brilliant. It's fantastic. In fact, I can't express in words, Steve, how I feel about what's happened today. I feel as if we've somehow passed a point.
The Rubicon.
The Rubicon, yes. Rubicon. I used to go to school with her. She was a lovely girl.
My back's aching, Mr. Duncan.
Is it?
Yes. Because we've been standing here for nearly 2 hours.
Yes, we have. An hour and 50 minutes we've been here. Well, we are back with you. Of course, we are back with you on Sunday. Don't panic, because we are leaving. It doesn't mean we are going forever. Unless, of course, Mr. Steve decides that he wants to spend the rest of his life reading War and Peace. But we will be back with you on Sunday, 2 p.m. UK time, is when we are here with you.
Olga mentions that she listens to books. Yes, they call them audio books.
Do they?
Yes, they call them audio books because, and I know colleagues that if they've got to, in the job that I was in was sales, which meant I had to drive around a lot. So they tend to listen to these audio books when they're driving along. So that I think they put it into their phone and then connect it to the car, and use that time like commuting time. If you commute to work, you can have an audio book and listen to that. Well, it sounds like a good idea.
It's much better than reading whilst you're driving. So you might have the book open. You might have the book open on your steering wheel, and you're looking at the book. So don't do that. So audio books when you're driving, much better, much safer, I believe.
There we go. See, we learn about things, and we're not just giving information. We get information back from our wonderful.
Well, of course. Well, years ago, growing up, because I knew someone who was blind, they used to actually listen to books. So audio books have been around for years and years and years.
But they're much easier to use now because you can, with technology now, you can have that audio book in your phone, and you can very easily just listen to it whenever you like, or you can connect it to your car's infotainment system and listen to it through there. And Beatrice does that to rest, give her eyes a rest. Yes, because it's when you get to our age, then it becomes a bit of a strain to read a book all the time. You need lots of light on the book.
Yes, it's true.
Victoria says, "I know it's late, but I want to say hello." Fine, hello.
That's okay, Victoria. We are back on Sunday. We are talking about difficult subjects on Sunday.
Ooh.
Subjects that are hard. Subjects that are difficult.
Tough
subjects. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to give too much away. It's a big one on Sunday. We're going to be testing ourselves. We might be testing you as well. So that's what we're doing on Sunday. It is a lot of testing on Sunday. We might even play Fill in the Blanks.
Fill in the blank.
On Sunday.
I know a certain person's going to have heard that through the ether.
So we will be filling in the blanks and also testing each other in certain ways. Oh, are you intrigued?
And is this a new format, a new pursuit?
No, it's just a subject.
A subject,
Like
right.
today we're talking about resolutions.
Does this mean you're planning ahead for your live streams now instead of just sort of thinking it 5 minutes before you go on what you're going to talk about?
I always plan ahead.
I'm only joking, Mr. Duncan.
God, you're
My lips have gone dry.
asking for a slap around the face.
I haven't had any lunch today. I've foregone my lunch.
I'm going to go Andrew Tate on you.
I've forgone my lunch.
Okay.
Foregone my lunch. If you forgo something, it means you give it up. You don't. You suspend it or don't have it for that period of time.
That's
See,
a shame.
I'm teaching right up to the last second, Mr.
Yeah.
Duncan. Right, I'll go.
It's certainly teaching me a lesson.
I'll go and let you close. Or should we? Are you closing right now? Or are you?
I'll close in a moment.
Okay, I'll hang on. Then.
I've got some things I want to say about you, but you'll have to go first.
Do you want me to go? Right.
No, it's okay. But I was talking about Instagram, and you remember on Sunday we mentioned the Hawaiian guy that had a very successful career as a singer. He was quite a large chap, and he had a lot of health issues towards the end of his life, but he loved singing and playing the ukulele. But the strange thing was, we mentioned that on the live stream on YouTube. The next day, I opened Instagram, and the first thing that was recommended to me was that particular guy. And I thought that was really strange because we only mentioned it on our live stream. I didn't look for it or anything. So that's what I mean. It's very strange how things pop up, but you weren't looking for them, but maybe you just mentioned them in a conversation. So I sometimes think maybe our mobile devices are actually listening to us.
Everything we do is being watched. Everything you do on the internet is being watched, and a computer is whirring away in the background and throwing out this stuff. So that can't be coincidence, Mr. Duncan. So you said something on the live stream
Yes, about this guy.
about this singer.
Now, Israel Kamakawiwo Ole. I've probably mispronounced that, but a very famous singer, sadly no longer with us. But he actually made a lovely song, Over the Rainbow, the classic song from The Wizard of Oz, very famous version. And I mentioned him on Sunday, and then he popped up on my Instagram feed without me even searching.
So YouTube is somehow connecting up to Instagram.
Yeah.
So there's this whole stuff out there in the giant web, and it's all being filtered through into these search engines.
They're listening.
They're listening to us. They're listening to us. So, Dyson already knows what you said about him.
James Dyson will be coming around, and he
Yes.
will stick one of his plastic hoses right up my fundament.
Yes, Pedro, we do have a very good second-hand bookshop near where we live. So, and it's lovely. I love going around second-hand bookshops. I used to love doing that when I was a student because you get cheap books. So, yes, I shall go around there and have a look. That's a good place to start, a second-hand bookshop, because then you're paying very little for it, and if you don't like the book, it doesn't matter. You can just take it back. Right, that's it.
I'm just thinking of that song now. It had a lovely beginning. It sort of went, oh, 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 oh.
Won't you get a copyright strike now, Mr. Duncan?
No.
Okay.
So
Maybe I'll...
over the rainbow, one high, just one house in the theater, once in an apple.
Very good, Mr. Duncan, very good.
Did you enjoy that?
No.
I thought that was lovely.
I'll listen to the real version. Right, Mr. Duncan, I'm going to go and get some late lunch.
Yes, okay. Or early.
What is a late lunch?
Well, late lunch might be early supper.
What do you call a late lunch? An early lunch, you call it a brunch, don't you?
Okay.
So what's a late lunch?
Well, I think that's it. That's it.
Yes, Olga says, what's going on? Yeah, exactly.
What's going on?
What's going on is we're going.
Yes.
Because I'm hungry and my back is aching.
Oh, poor Mr. Steve.
So I hope you've enjoyed...
if anyone wants to give Mr. Steve a massage, maybe you want to bring your own baby oil and give Mr. Steve a massage with your hands or your feet or, well, any part, really, to be honest. I'm sure he will be more than grateful.
Lovely to be here, Mr. Duncan. And I look forward to seeing you all again on Sunday for Mr. Duncan's special lesson all about difficult subjects.
Difficult things,
Difficult
yes.
things. And maybe the fill in the blank.
Fill in the blanks.
Fill in the blanks, especially for certain people who aren't here today.
Okay.
Right. Lovely. Yeah, do you want me to go first? What do you want to do?
Just if you say goodbye, then I can just.
Bye.
That's
Bye,
it.
everyone.
That's the one. Yeah, he's doing well. See you on Sunday, Steve. We miss you already.
I'm not going to see you later.
We miss you already. There he goes. Mr. Steve has left the studio, and in a moment I will also leave the studio as well. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a long one. 2 hours. I can't believe we actually did 2 hours in the end. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. See you Sunday, and I hope you have a lovely Wednesday. I am back with you. Once again, I will tell you, 2 p.m. UK time is when I'm back with you on Sunday. See you soon. Take care. Stay safe. Stay happy. Enjoy 2023. And don't forget, don't get it wrong when you write the year down on a piece of paper. And of course, until the next time we meet here, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Ta-ta for now.